Coming up on today's show.
So I've got 3 daughters, and they absolutely love having the puppies around.
I don't have to put out 3,000 silo socks to shoot snogies.
You'd need slugs to fend off the polar bears, though.
Yeah. So dogs see like shades of white and black a lot better than we do, and they see movement better, and they see in lower light better.
Broadcasting from the Mid-Migration Outfitter Studios, this is the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast.
How much direction are you getting from the governor?
Minnesota DNR had reintroduced him into this area.
I don't know, maybe you didn't want me to tell the story on the show, but I'm going to tell it anyway.
I knew you were going to go there.
Come and close the entire hunting season.
Oh,
So that's
really?
pretty easy.
The Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast is brought to you by OnX. Know where you stand with OnX. Today's show is brought to you by Haybale Heights on Devil's Lake. Visit haybaleheights.com for more. By Tazin Lake Lodge in Northwest Saskatchewan. For Trophy Lake Trout Northern Pike, go to tazinlake.com. And by Lake of the Woods Tourism. Plan your trip to Lake of the Woods at lakeofthewoodsmn.com.
All right, welcome to the show. Don't forget to watch for the 25% off discount code for the new Sporting Journal radio store. It'll appear sometime here down at the bottom of the screen throughout this show. I want to ask our guests today, as we get into this, if they've ever eaten crickets before, because we filmed at a cricket farm for Prairie Sportsman last week. And not only did I eat crickets, but I got my parents to eat some crickets too, which I did not. My mom doesn't put salt on her food. She's not a very adventurous eater, and I got her to eat a cricket. It was one of the greatest moments in my life, I think. We also did some filming on the lake formerly known as Calhoun. It's now Bde Makaska with Ray Ruiz from Baztec. Let's just say there's a little bit of heartbreak on the show. You'll have to watch for it next season to see how we did fishing on Bde Makaska. Now, as we discussed last week here on this show, we were talking about pheasant hunting. A good dog can make you at least look like a better hunter. They can always make you a better hunter, give you more success when you're out there in the field. And one of the best parts of walking through grass with a young pup is seeing that light bulb go off as they figure things out as they get a little bit older. With my lab Mika getting ready for her 10th season, it was time to bring a new partner into the house. And we're going to go through some tips for new pups, getting your seasoned veteran ready for the fall hunting seasons, and some safe ways to travel with your four-legged companions as well. Our guests today include Cory Loeffler from the DRC Call Company. Cory, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good. How are you?
Not bad. Thanks for coming on the show. Also, Tim Springer from Dynamic Retrievers. Tim, how's it going?
Good. Hello.
Thanks.
Going good.
Thanks for being here. And also Andy Hawkinson from, you're from Eden Prairie, Andy, is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
And you've got a 23-month-old yellow lab named Delta who earned her master title earlier this year. Congratulations, and thanks for being on the show.
Yep. Woo-hoo. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Cory, let's start with you. Your garage got a little squeakier here a couple of weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, we had a litter of puppies in there, and Red, who Tim is a little bit familiar with, she gave birth to 10 little yellow labs, and one of them being your new little yellow lab. So
I'm pretty excited about that.
Oh, look at that. There. Oh, puppy delivery.
Our ratings just went way up. Hey,
3 weeks old right now, so eyes are just starting to open up, and they're kind of getting a little bit mobile, cruising around. They had them outside a little bit in the grass, and so I've got 3 daughters, and they absolutely love having the puppies around because it's just nonstop love all the time, and I think it's really good for socialization and just getting the puppies started on the right track, just having all that human interaction with them all the time, and it's almost human overload, I think, for how much attention and time that they spend with the little critters. But no, they turn out great when they're 7 weeks old, ready for their new homes. They're absolutely just ready to love and learn and ready to trust humans, and that's good. So we're pretty proud of our product when we're done with it, when we're done with the 7 weeks, just because of how much time they've had spent with people. So do you see that, Tim?
Yeah, that socialization is so important, and you never can go back and do it if a dog is older and has not been socialized. You that dog is never going to be as good as it could have been had it been properly socialized, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you only get one chance at those first 6 months of life. That's it. So you want to do it right the first time.
Yeah, the worst dogs we get in for training are people that said, I didn't want to ruin it, so I didn't do anything, and it just sat there and did not get socialized, and that dog's brain development is not as strong as one where people tried to train the puppy and did some stuff wrong. That's actually a better outcome than doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. You bet.
Are you doing like any introduction to like decoys or scent or wings, anything like that, Cory, or what's your plan there once the puppies are a little older?
Yeah, when they get a little bit older and a little bit more mobile, and they're just pretty wobbly on their feet right now. They're just starting to kind of learn how to walk on some decent ground and like the fake grass carpet stuff. They can kind of walk around on that. So, but yeah, after that, then we'll start introducing them a little bit to some loud noises when they're feeding and banging some pots and pans together, and then some duck wings and pigeon wings stuff in the freezer that I have. Drag those around a little bit and kind of play some fetch and sort of help encourage that retrieve drive a little bit with them, and kind of play some keep away and get them introduced to a lot of things. Usually we'll have a chance to get them introduced to water before they go home too. That's just kind of up in the air depending on water temperature and stuff, but usually we should be able to get their feet wet a little bit.
Yeah, should be good in the summertime to get them in warm water, but definitely keep little dogs out of cold water for sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. Not a good deal to scare them away from too cold of water right away. That'll put you way back.
And I want to talk a little bit more about the training coming up here in a little bit, but let's just jump back to having a litter, Cory. What you've done this a few times now, and 10 pups. It's a sizable amount of puppies to have rolling around there. What's probably the hardest part of that process?
I mean, it all starts with the night of whelping and when she's actually having the litter. Or the day whenever whenever the female starts. You want to stay with her and kind of keep some supplies on hand so that you can make sure the puppies are coming out and she's not having any trouble. About 50% of the puppies usually come out breech or feet first, and that's not ideal. It's what it is. It happens, and they struggle with those puppies more than the ones that come out head first. So you're going to want to be there just to assist with that stuff if any of the puppies do get held up in the birth canal, and then kind of helping them, break their individual little sacs open and get oxygen to their lungs right away once they're cut off from the mother's oxygen supply. So getting oxygen to those lungs and making sure the little puppies come out of there in breathing and hopefully alive, and then just kind of keeping an eye on mom, making sure she's doing good. There's a lot of stress. It's very taxing on the female to go through something like that, putting out 10 puppies on the ground. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, you just want to be there, and yeah, absolutely.
How long?
Just be there and then get them latched on right away, because that colostrum, she's producing that colostrum, and you want to get those puppies some of that, get them a little boost of energy right away, and she kind of takes care of most of the work, but you just want to oversee it. So the nights can get pretty long. I think this labor started at 9 p.m. and ended at 5 a.m. So that was a good night for me.
How many times did another puppy come out and you're like, geez, another one? Is she done?
There was a break between the 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock hour. She didn't have any puppies during then. but I could still feel some inside of her. So I knew there was more to come. And then, she popped 4 more out after that. And so
I'm pretty excited fun about having a new mascot here for Sporting Journal Radio. I know if you look at the logo, there's an outline of a lab in the logo, and that's Mika. So now I'm gonna have to build a new logo for this dog, I guess, Cory. And we should. I want to talk about naming a dog because that's pretty important. And I thought maybe, Cory, we'd have a contest. So if people watching this or listening have some good dog names, we want to do a contest, maybe give away some gear and some different things for the winter. But talk about, and any of you guys can weigh in on this, but talk about how important it is to pick out, when you're picking out a dog's name when it comes to training and just everything that you have to deal with that dog.
Well, one of the biggest things I think is that the name does not sound like a common command you use. So like sit, that sound, you're going to say sit and the dog thinks you're saying its name and actually takes off instead of sitting.
I've definitely called my dog something that sounds a lot like that, but it's usually when she's doing something wrong. But yeah.
And back is another command too. That we use when sending dogs on blind. Jack, names like that sound similar. Definitely something you want to stay away from if possible.
Yep. And then just keeping the name of the new dog different than any other dog you have in the household.
That's one thing I found that's very important, being in whether it's guiding or, when your dog is around other dogs, it seems like, especially in the hunting world, you'll have a lot of the same names, like they'll name them after shotguns or they'll name them, after something in the hunting world. So I've been out in the field somewhere where there's 6, 7, 8 dogs and 3 of them have the same name.
Was it Nellie?
Nellie's been in there. Remy. Yeah. Benelli. Remy. So I always, try to encourage people to pick something that's simple and easy, but doesn't sound like, anybody else's, some a little bit different. So you don't have 3 of them in the field when you're out there hunting. Tim, when we talked a little bit about some of those important tips when you're training a dog, when you got a puppy like that, when somebody comes to you and says, I got a brand new puppy, let's say 7 weeks old, say they just got it 7 weeks old. What are some of the other things you tell them to do when it comes to getting that dog ready for the training process?
Absolutely. Keep socializing that puppy, take it with you, expose it to, of course, safe, keep it safe and away from big dogs that might chomp it or something, but take it with you, socialize it, and then definitely start puppy training. I don't really consider it real training, but it really prepares that young dog to be really well trained later on. And what I mean is the brain development and allowing that puppy to learn how to learn, for treats and keeping it fun and lots of little short sessions. I mean like a minute long, but numerous ones per day. And just having that dog be with you, those are the best dogs that we get into our training program or that I see amateur trainers develop to the highest potential. I know Cory and Andy are really good about all that with their pups.
Andy, what kind of tips did you have when you brought Delta home? Did you do anything like that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, Bill Hillman was a huge resource for me. He has a really good puppy program, like up to 6, 7 months, I'd say. So the 2 biggest things that he emphasizes is the command sit. So teaching your dog to be obedient and just to chase something, just to go out, not necessarily bring it back to hand yet, but just to go out and just have that desire to go out and retrieve and have fun and just enjoy life, until the real obedience starts, with the training through Tim's program or any other program out there. So those are probably some of the biggest tips that I have for folks too.
And next thing you know, before she's 2, she's got a master title.
Yeah.
One thing that I did a lot with Rue, and similar to what Andy's talking about in the Bill Hillman program early on in the socialization stuff, but I would take Rue anywhere to the grocery store. I'd throw her right in the cart, and I would bring a pocket full of dog food with me. And I mean, you bring a 7 to 9 week old puppy to the grocery store, and about every person's going to come up to you wanting to pet the puppy. And I would have that pocket of dog food, and I'd say, yeah, you can pet the puppy, but could you please give it 3 or 4 pieces of this food first? So now the situation now with this stranger coming up to pet the puppy all of a sudden just turned positive because I got treats, and then it's new people. So new people are awesome. And I thought that was very beneficial. And if I had a half a cart full of food or something and ended up getting kicked out of the grocery store because I had a dog in there, I just leave. Just leave. Okay, bye.
My dog had a very positive interaction with a young child at an early age, where I think we were at softball tournament or something, and they were serving hot dogs. And I turned around for one moment, and she got a hot dog out of that kid's hand. And ever since when she sees a 4-year-old walking around, she goes looking for hot dogs. But yeah, she learned. So having that master title at 23 months, I mean, that can't be all that common, right? To be able to have that success at that young age for a dog.
Yeah, it's pretty rare. I think last time I checked last week, she was the 9th youngest dog in the country that got awarded a master title out of 450 this year. So wow. Yeah, she's pretty special. I mean, if I had to do it again, I probably would have been a little bit more patient with her. But yeah, it's definitely been a fun journey so far with her, and she's taken me some great places and met some new people. So yeah, it's been a blast.
I think it's especially cool that it's only Andy's, I think, second dog you've trained, right, Andy?
Correct.
So it's not like, maybe a pro trainer that's trained thousands of dogs does that. It's not as big of a deal as an amateur training their own dog by themselves and getting it accomplished that soon.
So that gives us all hope then.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Especially my first dog, definitely. Yeah. I mean, my first dog, even to this day, he still has a lot of holes. We've had a lot of success. He's 6 now. But to being able to start over with a brand new puppy, 7-8 weeks old, and just do it all over again the right way through all the networking I've made with my first dog, it's definitely paid dividends to progressing a dog a lot faster, and she's had a lot less holes and a lot more capability than my older one does at his age now. So yeah, it's been fun.
And Tim, that's kind of what your DIY program is for, right? Guys like Andy or myself and Cory that are going to be training dogs at home. And both these guys went through your program too, right?
Correct. Yep. Yeah, the DIY was an idea that hatched with me trying to help people train their own dogs. And they would train their own dogs and come out like once a month, and they'd be way off track. We started using like cell phone video to see what they were doing every day. And then I'm sending them little short video clips, not watching a 2-hour video on training a dog, but instead watching like a 1-minute video clip for what to do the next day or 2 or 3. And then me getting the video back from them, and then, tell them what they're doing right and wrong, and then send the next video perhaps.
Well, technology allows you to, your program is also almost built for COVID, right? Technology is allowing us to do so much nowadays, work from home, whatever. You're kind of ahead of your time, Tim, I think.
Yeah, I'm not very technologically advanced, but I did come up with something, and it has been working out really good. We're improving it all the time, and I really give a lot of credit to that person that wants to train their own dog, because that was me once upon a time. And I just want to try to prevent some of the mistakes that I made with people and help people train their own dogs. And like family hunting dogs, it's so hard for people to let those dogs go to a trainer for 3, 4, 6 months too, not to mention the money. And also people want to learn how to do it themselves.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Mika was my first dog that I worked with. And it's funny, maybe Andy, you can talk about this, but I know now, getting ready for my next one, there's already a couple of things I know where I screwed up with her that I want to work on with the new pup. What were some of the changes from your first dog to your second dog that you worked on?
I think the biggest thing was just obedience. A lot of times you go to a hunt test, or even out hunting in the field with your dog. You see a lot of dogs breaking, meaning they run as soon as the bird is shot or gunshot goes off. So just being able to solidify those obedience commands. So whistle sits on blinds, and just steadiness around you as the handler, and also being able to keep the dog quiet and still. It just makes for a much more enjoyable hunt, and makes your success opportunity a lot greater, even within the hunt test world too. So I think obedience is definitely the one thing that is of emphasis if you're going to start over with a brand new puppy, for sure. Because that drive's going to be there with the dog. If you're getting a really well-bred dog, more than likely you're going to have a dog that's going to want to go out and get the bird. So the ability's there. It's just a matter of just kind of toning it down and controlling it.
I think that's a huge part of owning a good gun dog or a good hunt test running dog. Just building that super solid base right from a 7-week-old puppy, and starting with a good foundation and a good, well-behaved, obedient, steady dog. Because not only if your dog breaks at a hunt test, well, you're kicked out of the hunt test, and there goes your entry fee. But from a safety point of things, a dog breaking in the field while hunting can be extremely dangerous. I've been around the hunting game a long time, and I've heard some horror stories that go along with dogs breaking, and they don't end well. So having a good, obedient, steady dog can really pay huge dividends.
And Cory, you and I were on a hunt together once, and that's one thing with my dog. She breaks, and I finally got to the point after a couple of years of not being a good enough trainer to break her of breaking. I finally started staking her in the field. And I remember hunting out of a pit with you one time, Cory, and my dog was able to jump. All right, I've got pictures of her on the cab of my pickup. I got numerous pictures on the kitchen counter where she knows she's not supposed to be. I've got pictures of her on the roof of houses. I don't know how she gets up there. Anyway, she could jump out of these pits. And you remember the hunt I'm talking about, Cory?
Yep.
Yeah,
100%.
It was one of the first times she'd hunt out of a pit. So I didn't even I had no idea that she'd try to jump out of this thing. I figured, well, she's not going to break. She's down here in this pit. She found her way. She clawed her up and jumped out of that pit. And I don't remember exactly what happened, but we had a low flyer, and one of the guys shot it. And she chased this goose for a while. And I think it went down the hill and maybe into the cattails or into some grass or something. And she came back covered in blood. And I think you said something first. I think you noticed it before I did.
Right when the shot went off, it was not a smart play to shoot whatever.
Yeah.
But was narrowly avoided.
And then she came back covered in blood. Well, what had happened is she got into it with that goose was wounded. So she got the goose's blood all over her, and she was fine. But it definitely opened my eyes up to that situation, and it obviously can be very dangerous. So, Tim, when you've got a dog that, I guess when somebody says, I don't want my dog to break, what's the first step for them?
Well, the first step starts at about 9 weeks of age of teaching that sit command for fun and focusing on a balanced training program from the beginning. So some of the older school methods that are still out there involve like getting the dog like super ramped up, like just insanely crazy to retrieve. And I think instead we want to have that desire, but we want it to be balanced out with obedience and be working on obedience and retrieving, having a strong retrieve desire, but not that total crazy, just nutso dog. We want to keep things kind of balanced, so to speak.
And what are some of the other big challenges people go through when they're training a dog? Breaking, like force fetching, or what are some of the other tough ones?
Yeah, my own weaknesses as a new trainer when I was first doing it, and what I've seen in hundreds, if not thousands, of people's weakness is they want to kind of glaze over that boring, important stuff, like the really making the hold solid, and the fetch solid, and sit and all the obedience solid, and the collar conditioning. They sort of kind of do it, and then later on down the road, they have holes in their program, is what we call it, which just means the early work wasn't done thoroughly enough, and now there's issues we're having in the field that we can't correct because the dog doesn't understand the correction.
What age would you introduce that collar to one of these dogs?
I mean, ideally at around like 3, 4, whatever months of age, you're putting it on them just to go out for fun, where the collar just means, hey, we're going out to have fun. But, Hillman explains a little bit of using it very lightly with some younger dogs, but we normally don't really start using it on a dog until 6 months of age or after.
It's funny. Some people, we've all heard the arguments against those collars by people that haven't used them, obviously. But no matter how many times I may have used that on my dog throughout her almost 10 years on this planet, anytime I grab that collar, that dog's tail goes ballistic. She knows something fun is about to happen. Because she knows she associates with hunting trips, and I wanted to bring up hunting trips, Andy, because Cory told me that you've been on a few of them. You've done some hunting.
Yep.
Around. Where have you gone hunting? Give us some examples.
I mean, myself personally, I mean, I've been all around Minnesota, North Dakota, Saskatchewan a number of times, Manitoba, and then I've been dove hunting in Argentina before, which is an awesome experience. But with my dog, we mainly stay in Minnesota for the Minnesota season, up in northern part, and then we go to Saskatchewan at least once a year for the fall, and then in the spring snow goose time as well, depending on how the hatch is that year. So last year we went, my dog Benny and I, he's our older dog, we went to northern Manitoba on the Hudson Bay to cast the Goose Lodge. Yep. Really? So you take a plane from Winnipeg up to the lodge itself, and you actually take Argos out on the tundra.
That's awesome.
And shoot snow geese. So it's an unbelievable experience.
I've heard about hunting snow geese up there before, and it's a little bit different than say when you hunt them during the migration. They're just kind of up there, basically staged up, right? Kind of trading around.
Yep. Yeah, they're not in big numbers yet.
Right.
Before they make their migration, so they're kind of just milling around, feeding on berries, that sort of thing. So you don't need a lot of decoys to really get them to come in, but you got to scout pretty hard, just because there's not a lot of them around at some points of the day. So
what do you mean?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
You're telling me I don't have to put out 3,000 silo socks to shoot snow geese? Man.
Nope, just a couple dozen. Yeah, that's all it takes. So
no, but you'd need slugs to fend off the polar bears, though.
yeah.
Worth it.
Yep.
How was the Argentina trip? I've gotten to go down there and do that, but we hunted ducks down there, and then we also hunted perdiz, which is where I'm going with this story. But they finally had to talk me into doing the doves. Like I hunt doves up here, which it's not the same as Argentina, obviously, but I'm a duck hunter, man. I wanted to hunt ducks down there. So the doves were fun. We did like at one point, I've told this story a million times, but I pulled up on one dove and then another dove flew in front of it. So I switched and pulled up in front of that one. Then another one flew in front of that one. So I switched. And finally I looked at everybody else. I said, I don't know which one to shoot at.
Yeah.
I blew through so many shells, but the highlight, other than the ducks, the duck hunting was amazing. But the highlight I think for me was hunting perdiz down there. And the pointers that they had down there were amazing. And it almost convinced me to get a pointer for pheasant hunting up here. Almost, but I'm going to stick with my labs. Did you get to do anything other than doves down there?
I mean, we obviously, drank a lot of wine and toured Buenos Aires and that sort of thing. But yeah, cool. The dove hunting is unbelievable. I mean, you become a really good shot by the time you're, because I mean, you're shooting, over 1,000 in a few days for sure. So,
man,
yeah, I mean, I think at the end I was shooting about 70%. So yeah, wow. It's a really good time. Definitely recommend it.
And are you as disappointed as I am about not being able to get into Canada this year?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, we have a snow goose hunt planned here for the first week of October in Saskatchewan. So
it's not happening.
There might be a miracle where, it's definitely not going to happen, but it's really unfortunate. So,
and then I want to go back to your trip because I want to talk about traveling to some of these places with your dog. Because that can be kind of a challenge. Like the last few times I went up into Saskatchewan, I bought a little car for mileage, and with silhouette decoys and sock decoys, I was able to get a whole decoy spread, my layout blind, my dog, everything I needed into a little Toyota Camry to drive 14 hours to get up there. But I got my dog laying in the back seat. So I know that's not always recommended. What kind of safety precautions, or when you're planning for a trip, and we'll get everybody's opinions on this too, but Andy, we'll start with you. When you plan for a trip like that, what do you think about when it comes to dog safety on the road?
I think the first thing is just checking the local regulations of where you're going, especially into Canada. You want to make sure that the food you're bringing in, meets the local regulations of going into Canada. I haven't been stopped yet, but I mean, the chance is definitely there. So making sure that you're meeting the Canadian requirements is definitely of importance. Secondly, I mean, I always recommend taking frequent stops and hydrating. People often forget how dehydrated the dogs get on a longer trip, I'd say over 8 hours. So making frequent stops and letting them get out to go to the bathroom, giving them water is definitely important for sure. And when you do arrive at your destination, I mean, just give them a little bit of patience. I mean, their first day is, they're probably not going to be, they're not going to probably be charging as hard as they normally would before you left for the trip, because they are tired. So just giving them kind of a day to relax if possible is definitely important to prevent injury and get the most out of your dog on the trip.
Cory, I think I've seen you have like a small fortress in the back of your pickup for your dogs when you travel.
A couple times, yeah. I believe in used gunner kennels. They're the original double wall roto-molded crate or kennel for a dog, and they've got the highest crash test rating. So I really value the kennel's durability and the dog's safety inside of that kennel. So that's what I like to use in traveling. Put a nice orthopedic mat in there, and then I hang a water bucket about half full with some good clean water in there for the dog, and that seems to work really well. Just keep a little air moving for the dogs. I always have it a lot cooler in the back wherever they are, because they like some good fresh airflow. So I don't pack too much gear around the kennel and the vents of the kennel and stuff. But yeah, just like to keep them comfortable and safe most of all. Got a lot of time and a lot of effort and energy into these dogs. I don't want anything to happen with some dumb car accident or something.
A lot of money too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tim, what part of your DIY program can you teach the dog to drive on some of those long road trips so I can climb back into that orthopedic mat and take a little nap?
Yeah, we're working on some breeding program with Cory of these car driving dogs that we're trying to breed, but we haven't really got it mastered quite yet. But working on it.
We got a lot of wrecked cars, but
yeah. Okay, so like the safety thing is a huge thing. I think not having a dog like running around loose in the back of the truck or in the front, even if you do get an accident, and that dog can get flung out of there, and there's some sad stories there. But really the way you travel with the dog should not be a new thing for the dog. You know what I mean? You should already have a system of going training or going somewhere, and your dog's going with you. Your dog should already be accustomed to that procedure, you know, your routine of traveling with that dog. And then I also would add about water. When your water supply for that dog gets about halfway low, I would add to it. So you don't just switch over to a different water source that can cause like stomach problems, and you have diarrhea on the road, and it's a big old mess. So kind of switch that water over gradually, and you'll have less problems like that.
Do you guys have any fun diarrhea stories? Because those always play well on the radio.
Yeah, you know, so you want to be a dog trainer, you know, picture goes around once in a while. It's like it's a crate, you know, that's just covered from head to toe in diarrhea, you know.
The worst part, I think, is the smell. Like one time I came home, I was at a wedding, my buddy's wedding reception, and I came home and Mika was pretty young, and I was tired. Like it was a late night. I was ready to go to sleep. I probably had one eye closed. And as soon as I opened the door to my house, like the smell punched me in the face. And I had her in like one of those wire kennels. And it was in the corner. And thankfully I had hardwood floors, but the walls, like halfway up the wall, everything. And it was, so that was that was fun.
There's a lot of stories. I had a friend they were redoing their hardwood floors, and that happened, and it all got down in the cracks, and they had to take like a butter knife and get in there and like scrape it all out.
Gross.
Yeah.
Getting back to your DIY program, Cory or Andy, either one of you guys, if somebody says, "Hey, you guys went through this, you know, what should I expect going through this program?"
Come on, you can start, Cory. Go ahead.
Oh, I would say the biggest thing, the most beneficial thing that I learned, and the biggest questions that I had, was all about the e-collar and everything e-collar. I think they're a very intimidating tool and can be very detrimental or the absolute best training tool ever for a dog. But to find the exact time and place and how and when to use that thing, Tim has opened my eyes to a whole new light of timing and corrections and how big the corrections should be, when to give them. I mean, that was something I really, really struggled with early on. And I think a lot of people do. A lot of people are very intimidated with e-collars, and that just, I mean, it cleared it up a lot. I still do have questions, but I think I try to continuously learn all the time. And I think that's a good part of being, hopefully a successful dog trainer, is just trying to learn all the time. And I talk to Tim frequently, and most questions revolve around the e-collar. So that's my 2 cents.
Well, Tim, would you say the first thing somebody should do, like what I did when I first got that collar, is me and a buddy had a couple of beers and then wrapped it around our arms and gave ourselves a little tickle, just so we knew what we were working with more than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, definitely, people, call it a stimulation. I mean, it's definitely a shock. I mean, it hurts, So, yeah, I think one thing, the biggest thing, if you just want to sum it up quickly, is that we should all strive to never use an electronic collar on a dog in a manner the dog not understand. Often out of frustration, electronic collars are used. The dog doesn't understand the correction, and the collar is blamed when really it was the person's fault for not doing their boring important stuff in the yard and their foundation work.
Let's talk about nutrition. Tim, you've probably seen what Cory feeds his dogs. What when you guys talk about, because Cory, you actually break it down pretty well. A lot of people will just go to the store and see, what the protein or fat content is on the side. You actually, you incorporate a lot of different food into your feeding schedule. For a new pup, let's start with a young pup. What do you like to feed them? And that could be any of you guys.
Me?
Sure.
Oh,
you or Tim, Andy.
A good quality puppy chow.
Yeah, I would say a well-known brand. Lately there's been some problems with dog foods, and it's always like some kind of weird, brand that people think they're doing better for their dog by buying this $100 rare food, and then it has some mold problem and kills dogs or have organ problems and things like that. I think a high quality food from one of the more well-known companies is probably your safest bet.
So I have a food-related question. I don't know what we can do about this, but Mika was great about waiting for the okay to go eat her food. I'd pour food in her bowl and make her sit and wait, and she was great about that. And now I could leave the bag of food next to it, and she wouldn't get into it. But when she was a puppy, she had no off switch. And I remember one time I was at this one camp I used to guide at a little bit, and one of the other guides had his dog there, and he had a 110-pound lab that was skin and bones, huge dog. And he would literally leave a 5-gallon pail full of the cheapest dog food you could find, and the dog would just kind of nibble at it. Just couldn't put on, it was a huge dog, couldn't put on weight, and just barely ate. Well, Mika found that bucket of food one time, and I think it was in the dark, and kind of put the dogs to bed, and it might have been a little bit of a late night, and put the dogs to bed. And I got up the next day, and we were out in the boat scouting, and I was with my buddy Tony, and I brought Mika along, and all of a sudden she kind of jumped up on the bow of the boat, and was looking around as we were rolling around, and I looked at her, and I looked at Tony. I'm like, does my dog look fat to you? She was huge. It was like the Goodyear blimp sitting up on the front of the boat. Is there any way to kind of keep a dog from overeating like that?
Well, retrievers and labs especially are so, oral in nature. I think overeating and over drinking is kind of a common phenomenon with them. But I think you should not free feed your dog. Back to the traveling thing, when you're on the road or you're hunting a lot, you want to give that dog a lot of food and have it eat if it's if it's working hard. And free-fed dogs tend to, on trips, not eat for days on end and just nibble or not eat at all. Or like the example of the guy with the big lab that was free-fed a cheap food. That's the worst case scenario. If you feed them twice a day, they'll eat whatever you put in front of them. Then when you're on the road or you're hunting, you feed them and bam, they eat and they're getting the nutrition they need.
They get into that routine.
I really like
Yeah.
when my dogs value food. So we have scheduled feedings, and I really like that they value food because they hold that at a very high priority, and then I can use that against them. That's something that I have, they want, and I want them to behave in a certain way. So it's a give-take relationship. Hey, if you want this food, then sit nice for me, or go over here or go over there with the hand signal, or whatever it is. They value that very high. But if it was a 5-gallon bucket of food sitting over in the corner, and I tried to bribe them and sit down or do an obedience thing, it's not going to work because they don't care. It's just a whole 5-gallon bucket of it sitting over there. So why do I want to jump through your hoops if I can just walk over here and eat it? So.
What about a guy picking out his first whistle? You can see there. It seems like there's different types of whistles, different noises, different sizes, things like that. What do you recommend when it comes to whistles?
Well, they make whistles now with like a barrel on them to project the sound away from you and protect your hearing. So I would, just the straight little whistle, I think, is really hard on your ears. Mm-hmm. And I would pick a whistle that's reliable.
What? Yeah.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. I would pick a whistle that's reliable and stick with that whistle. Don't change, midway in a hunt to a different whistle because the dog may not respond to it. It's got to be what they're used to hearing.
Be consistent with it. I'd seen those big ones. I didn't realize it was more for you than it was for the dog. Because, man, those whistles are loud. I mean. Yeah.
So in lunging water or a high wind situation, sound really punches out there. If you sail a goose 300-400 yards across the stubble, you might need that loud whistle to stop the dog and redirect it if it's off course.
Speaking of that, Cory, we're just a couple of weeks away from early goose. I know I'm chomping at the bit a little bit. I know some guys have been out in North Dakota. Sounds like it's been kind of hit or miss over there a little bit. Some guys finding some success.
A little bit of success, but more scouting than hunting.
Yeah, and that's kind of that name of that game. I've had some good shoots over there. I've also spent a lot of money on fuel. Didn't make it over there this year, but we're here. I mean, it's for most people. There's about another week, month or so before the regular waterfowl season starts. You got dove season here on the 1st. There's going to be some hunting opportunities, but I think for the majority of people, we're into that last month before season really gets going. Maybe a month and a half before guys are really running around for pheasants. Tim, is there anything what should a guy be doing right now other than just exercising his pup? Maybe he's got a middle-aged dog that's got some experience under his belt. What should they be doing out there right now to get his dog ready?
Well, for a middle-aged dog, I like doing a lot of drills in the yard. You don't have to travel somewhere and train on 1,000 acres. You can set up some bumpers in your backyard and work on some lining and casting drills. But also, this is more for the newer dog, is when you're getting your hunting gear out, why not set it out and expose that dog to all the things that's going to be exposed to when it's hunting. So there's no excuse for a dog being afraid of a robo-duck on opening day. You should already have that thing spinning in the backyard and throwing some retrieves. Should have the dog in and out of a boat, the mud hut. However you're going to hunt, you should have trained on that at home in your yard or whatever. And a good time to do it is right now when you're getting all your gear out and going through it.
You have a preference on types or sizes of bumpers that you work with?
Yeah, I really like white bumpers because the dog can clearly see the bumper when doing a drill. Orange ones, sometimes they'll run over the top of it and the dog has done the right thing but just misses it by a little bit and then can't find it. Unless I'm working on developing their nose, then I would throw an orange bumper into some cover and they'll have to sniff for it a little bit more.
Explain that, because I think the first time I lost an orange bumper and my dog couldn't find it, I was just flabbergasted that she was struggling to see an orange bumper.
Yeah, so dogs see like shades of white and black a lot better than we do, and they see movement better, and they see in lower light better than we do. But they see less colors, and orange is gray to them.
And I've got a red-green color blindness, so orange isn't always the best for me. I'm right there with the dog. I don't know where it is, man. I don't know. You got the nose.
you're the guy that calls a buddy when he shoots a deer at the bow because I can't see the blood.
Absolutely, my brother. Yeah, he's the tracker. He's the tracker. Absolutely. Or maybe Cory. Is there going to be a blood tracking program coming out of DIY, or Cory, you going to start one of those?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I've dabbled in it a little bit.
Oh,
we spend 6 months out of the year in Texas, and using tracking dogs there is quite common. So I do have some exposure with that and have worked a little bit with that. Yep.
I was surprised that it took Minnesota, and maybe I shouldn't be surprised it's Minnesota, but I was surprised it took Minnesota that long to come around to allowing dogs for that.
Right. Well, reportedly, I've heard that people have used them before that quite successfully.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but I mean, if it helps you recover an animal, I mean, it does, and it's supposed to be on a leash too, right? You're supposed to keep the dog.
Yeah.
That's the way it's supposed to be, and I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that, but.
Yeah, and there's some great new technology for that too with Garmin collars, and you can see where the dog's at on the screen, and yeah, so good stuff.
Well, I don't want to ever see venison go to waste. So,
that's right.
Cory, we talked about whistles. We should mention bird whistles too before we go here. You had some new red ones. Is that a new material? What?
Yeah.
What was
I got
that?
one sitting right here. A new acrylic from a new supplier that is very vibrant, lots of purling going on. So there will be some pretty cool new offerings in this line of calls. Same line of calls, pretty much the same plastic, but just a new supplier that's offering some pretty wild stuff. So it's on its way here, and I'll get to working on it as soon as I can. So.
Nice. I did want to, I know we didn't talk much about hunt tests. I did want to hit that too real quick before we go. I don't know who wants to take this. Maybe Andy, maybe you can speak about this. For somebody that has never really been in the hunt test world, what do they need to do to get prepared for it, and what should they expect?
Yeah, what is it?
So a hunt test is essentially, it's almost like a mock hunt you would go on, essentially. At a junior level, your dog's gonna be exposed to just single marks, so meaning that one bird's gonna be shot at a time. You need to release your dog from a collar. The senior level, you're gonna have a double, so one bird's gonna get shot, the second one's gonna get shot after that, and your dog has to remember where those birds are. So that's a mark. And then your dog also has to run a simple blind retrieve using hand signals, which would be outside the marks itself, as well as an honor where your dog is actually watching the other marks go down from another dog's perspective. And your dog has to sit there and remain calm and watch the birds go down.
And these are actually
master level,
like live birds, right, that are getting shot, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Correct.
Some of them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. You usually get one live flyer per test. That's most common across all levels. And then the highest level in the AKC world is the master level, where these are 3 series of triples and a double blind as well. So dog will watch 3 birds go down, pick up the birds, and then typically run two more complex blind retrieves. You're going to see that in multiple series typically, as well as an honor. So in terms of getting prepared for a hunt test, I always encourage people as an amateur to join a retriever club. I mean, there's so many of them locally across the Midwest. I mean, the hunt test game is very popular, especially in Minnesota. So there's more than likely there's going to be one around you. So there's so much knowledge within the retriever clubs, between amateurs and pros. It's a great place to network and get out and make friends and get your dogs conditioned. I mean, the best way to get your dogs ready for the hunt this fall is to never get out of shape. I mean, just do something, a little bit of something every single day. It's amazing what kind of a great dog you can build by just doing something for 5 to 10 minutes a day. I mean, you don't need thousands of acres, like Tim said, to build a great retriever. I mean, it just takes time, patience, and a little bit of knowledge and networking from a pro or from other amateurs just to build a great dog. I mean, it's really not as complicated as some people make it out to be. So those are my recommendations there.
Was it your goal to get that master title this early, or were you surprised that you were able to do it?
I mean, you never know what you're going to get. I mean, right away. I mean, you pick up a 7-week-old puppy. I mean, you never know what's going to happen. She kind of told me that as she was progressing. I mean, I saw it really early on that she just was obsessed with retrieving and obsessed with working. So she really was telling me that she wanted me to take her to that level a little bit quicker than a normal dog. It's all about reading the dog, I guess I'd say, from that perspective. So.
Yeah, some dogs mature real fast and some are slower to mature, and you go with what the dog gives you, but she's more of a fast maturing, serious driven dog. And Andy's a very serious, on the verge of obsessed when he gets into doing something, and he does it quite well, whatever he does.
That's awesome.
I've seen in my experiences with Tim's, the dynamic DIY program, I've seen just the efficiency of training. You have to do it thoroughly, but the efficiency of the program really speeds a dog through learning all of these steps really fast. So I think that's a lot of credit to my success and Andy's success as well, is Tim's program and the way he's designed that, and the way he's nitpicked all of just putting all of the elements into the program that need to be in there, and then getting rid of the garbage that actually doesn't really help you out and might even take you backwards a little bit, and just a little bit of a new spin on some of these drills, and just making a lot of forward progress with the program all the time, and kind of like Tim said, as fast as you want to take it with your dog, in respect to how fast your dog wants to take it too. So it's worked out very well for both of us, and appreciate all the help.
The biggest thing too is, with videos, watching even like old videotapes and YouTube and that sort of thing, you're always going to have questions. Your dog's going to do something that the video didn't match up to being, and you're going to need that resource to ask questions. Well, my dog did this. You can't ask the video that, obviously. So having the communication, which is really fast through text message and phone calls, is awesome with Tim. He's always available. It's great communication style, and it's very fluid. As far as, being able to take your retriever to progress a lot faster, like Cory said. So
Tim, how does that work then? If somebody wants to be a part of that program, is it a membership? Is it a monthly thing, yearly thing? Do you work through every stage of life for a dog, or how does it work?
Yeah, we generally start with the dogs that are around 6 months of age, and covers the, obedience, the electronic collar, which is known as conditioning, the dog understanding it, teaching the condition, hold, and fetch commands, which are really important. And at the end of that, that'll be like a basic dog that could bring a bird back. If you want to go into the hand signals, if you have a waterfowl dog, then we continue on. We teach all that. And through what's called early advanced training, to where you're running blind retrieves. Once the dog is doing lots of longer distance retrieving, we do kind of hit a limitation, I think, with the videoing thing. But there is a lot of good information already out there, I feel, for all that stuff. So then people kind of graduate on after that point.
Sometimes it's important with those older dogs just to go back and give them a few reminders too, with some of that stuff, isn't it?
Sure. Yep. Yes, sir.
All right, Cory, let me see one of those puppies again. Cory, every time you show the puppies, our ratings go up. So you got one of those puppies there again? Can you get another one? And then while you're doing that, Tim, so Can
I get a puppy delivery?
I got a puppy coming, and I do have some stuff here, but if somebody says to you, okay, I got a 7-week puppy, what are the required materials that person should have? There we go. Oh, look at a cute puppy.
Yeah, really. We get, that's cute. We get great young dogs where people follow the Training a Retriever Puppy with Bill Hillman DVD. And I make no money by saying that. I'm not sponsored by them or anything. That's just really a good, solid, balanced program for puppies. That's a great place to start.
And then as far as like bumpers, collar, leash, do you work platforms into the equation at all, or anything else? Kennels, obviously.
Well, we use a kennel command for the dog to go into a crate or into a kennel run, or to jump in the dog trailer, or to jump into its crate in your vehicle to go training. We use a kennel command, or to go in the mud hut. And otherwise we use a sit command, which means stay there until I tell you it's okay to leave. But our training program does not focus on going to various places like I've seen some of these platform deals and stuff.
Right.
When we cast the dog, it's going to get an object to retrieve.
So you don't work like even the place command in with what you're doing then? So
No, if we want them to go on something or go in something, we just say kennel. But really, I think the important thing is that you would have a systematic, fair training program. You know, that's always more important than exactly what tools you use. You know what I mean?
Sure. And having a bond and being able to communicate. You know, getting to know that.
Start
dog.
with a good dog. Socialize it. Make sure it's healthy. And do all that important stuff, and then it usually turns out well.
All right, Cory. Oh man, I can't wait. That, of course, I know the mom of those pups. Cory, who's the dad?
The dad is Snapper. He's a field trial champion and amateur field trial champion. Kind of a Minnesota dog, or spent some time in Minnesota and Georgia. But very awesome producer. So I was very excited to complete the breeding and put a litter of puppies on the ground, because I have very high hopes for these. And Tim is very familiar with Snapper and his puppies, offspring.
Yeah, we trained a lot of Snapper offspring, and we've had a lot of success, and people have been really, really happy with those dogs. Being so driven, yet so controllable, and having that balanced type dog, you know, that isn't noisy. You know, that's one of the most annoying things waterfowl hunting, is a noisy dog, and that's largely a genetic trait. I really love these balanced, sensible dogs that are not hard-headed, that are middle of the road, and they work for hunting, hunt test, or field trials. They just are talented and smart and easy to work with.
Those are all spoken for now too, right?
I've got a couple males left.
Oh, you do?
Ready to go. Yep, you bet.
All right.
And the puppies are $2,500, and they come with a gunner kennel, intermediate size, and an e-collar, and a bunch of food, and 2 weeks of training with Tim's DIY training program. So the whole package, the best of the best. It was the best possible stuff I could put together with the best breeding, and we're pretty proud of them.
Well, here I was trying to figure out what all the essential items were needed, but you're giving them away with the puppies already.
You bet.
That's cool. All right, so if people want to get one of those cute little balls of fur right there, where do they find out more info, Cory?
Oh, come check out drccalls.com, and all my contact info is on there. Or you can see pup dates pretty much every day on the Cory Loeffler Instagram page. We just post the heck out of these things. They're just so dang cute. So
yeah. And Tim, where do we find out more about dynamic retrievers and the DIY program?
Well, we're pretty active on Facebook, Dynamic Retrievers. We have a website too, dynamicretrievers.com, and my cell phone number is on there, and that's probably the best way to reach me. You can email me or message me on Facebook too, but when you see my cell phone there, that's the fastest way to get me.
All right, and Andy, you got anything you want to plug?
No, I mean, it's I think the biggest thing is just enjoy life with your dog, and just get out and train as much as you can.
And open the border.
No, it's a lot of fun. Yep, open the border. Yeah, absolutely.
Very good. Well, congratulations on the master title.
Thank you.
Good luck this fall. And Tim, good luck with everything you're doing there. Thanks for being on the show. And
welcome.
Cory, when am I getting that pup?
Come on up. Pick her out September 15th. She's ready for you.
All right. When our cranes are open September 15th, aren't they?
19. Wait 4 days.
19.
September 19th.
Well, I might be sticking around for a few days, so make up a room for me, and well, I'm sure we'll find something to do.
We got her. Got you covered.
Waiting. All right, guys. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Brett.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been the Finding Fur and Feathers Hunting Podcast, part of the Sporting Journal Radio family. Subscribe wherever you get podcasts, or visit us at findingfurandfeathers.com. Devil's Lake is legendary, and this summer has been legendary for walleyes. Don't miss out. Call Haybale Heights Campground and Resort today to book one of their modern cabins on East Bay. The cabins are furnished with a full bathroom, kitchen, and all the amenities like high-speed internet, and are clean following CDC guidelines. Staying at Haybale Heights gives you full access to a private boat launch, fish cleaning station, and beach area. Learn more at haybaleheights.com. That's haybaleheights.com. Plan your trip to legendary Devil's Lake today. As we all navigate through the tough times of 2020,
Finding new ways to enjoy summer has become a way of life. If you're searching for the perfect getaway this summer, look no further than the walleye capital of the world, Lake of the Woods. Fish the Rainy River, Big Traverse Bay, and don't forget you can still experience the uniqueness of the Northwest Angle. For your best chance to catch big fish, go where the big fish are. Lake of the Woods. Plan your trip at lakeofthewoodsmn.com. If trophy lake trout and monster northern pike are on your list this summer, book a trip to Tazin Lake Lodge in northwestern Saskatchewan.
Everything from numbers to big fish.
See pictures, videos, and more at TazinLake.com.
This is quite the fishery.
Our 5-star chef will feed you well after a day of chasing giants on Tazin Lake.
Dream come true.
Get rates, dates, and more of what you can expect.
It could be the best fishing you've ever had in your life.
At TazinLake.com. That's TazinLake.com. Tazin Lake Lodge is a proud partner of Tourism Saskatchewan. Hunt, fish, conserve, repeat. That's the mission here at Sporting Journal Radio, and if you love the outdoors as much as we do, show it off with new wildlife-themed gear from the Sporting Journal Radio store. From hoodies to hats, coffee mugs, wildlife prints, and you can even make your phone stand out with a new case sporting some high-quality wildlife photography. Go to sportingjournalradio.com and click on Store. We have a huge selection of gear with new items being added every week. Powered by Shopify, which is trusted by over 1 million businesses and offering a variety of ways to pay, including PayPal. Shop now at sportingjournalradio.com.